There was a guy, true story, man. There was a guy that went to the Golden Gate Bridge and threw himself off and committed suicide. When the police pulled him out, went through his stuff and he found his home, found his driving license. So they go back to the apartment to look for next of kin. While they're looking around, they find a note on the kitchen table. And it says, I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge, which was an hour's walk. I'm going to throw myself off and commit suicide. I'm done with this life. Unless on the way there, somebody says good morning, nods at me, smiles at me. If that happens, I will stop. I'll go back home and I'll try again tomorrow. Question. How many people have you walked past today that's heading to the Golden Gate Bridge?
Real Talk with Star Scorpio, episode 107. Every now and then, someone comes along whose story reminds us that no matter how far you fall, you always can rise again. Dr. Robb Kelly has lived that truth from rock bottom to rebuilding lives. Known as the Addiction Doctor, he's made it his mission to help people break free from addiction by healing the mind, the heart, and the spirit. This one's about hope, transformation, and believing in yourself again. Dr. Robb Kelly, welcome to Real Talk with Star Scorpio. How you doing today?
What's up, Star? Good to be here. Hey, guys. Woo, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, let's go. So, Dr. Robb, we always start from the beginning to build that timeline. So the first thing I want to know is, where were you born and raised?
So I was born in Manchester, UK. I was raised in Manchester. Uh, just outside Manchester, a place called Moss Side. It was very violent in the day, gangs and stuff like that. I kind of grew up in that environment. So I was fighting fighting from a very early age. Choose which gang I was in. It was called Moss Side, the place, and eventually, most of my people died from heroin overdose. I went down to Oxford to get educated, back to Manchester, and then 20 years ago, I ended up in Dallas, Texas for 2 or 3 weeks only, and decided I'm never going back again. And I now reside 20 years later for the last 4 years in San Antonio, Texas.
Wow. I'm going to ask you a few other questions about growing up, but is there a reason why you chose Texas over any other state, though?
Yeah, well, many, many years ago when the internet first started, we had what's called chat boxes. And I was speaking to a lady who belonged to a huge church in Dallas. And they invited me over. They paid all expenses for me to go over there and work with the youth ministry because it was a really plain, it was a posh area, affluent area. And that's what I did. I came over for 2 or 3 weeks only with like 2 weeks money, 2 weeks clothes. And that's how I got there. And I worked with the youth ministry and then decided that, hey, the girl that picked me up from the airport from the church became my wife.
Oh, wow. Congrats. Nice, nice. Um, so going back now, growing up in Manchester, how was that life? So your parents, did you come from a strict household or more relaxed?
It was so relaxed. My dad worked for the gas company. He was a manual worker. He used to dig the roads up to lay them big pipes. And my mom was a cleaner. She used to clean other people's houses. Not much money around, plenty of love, plenty of laughs. But I was the guy that couldn't go on the school trips because our parents couldn't afford that. So, yeah, I mean, it was on the projects. That's where we grew up.
Hmm.
But yeah, they were loving and kind. Both passed away now. But it was a good upbringing, man. Because when you're a kid or a teenager, you don't know whether you're rich or poor. No,
Yeah.
nobody tells you that. I was always hanging with the guys that I wanted to be back then. So I
Hmm.
was hanging with the people who lived in what we call the private houses, which is mortgage houses,
Hmm.
because we were kind of lower class. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. You have siblings?
I do have one younger brother and one younger sister.
Hmm.
Yeah, so brothers back in England. My sister, so I'm a great believer in we can do whatever we want and we can rewire the brain to produce anything we want. We're
Hmm.
doing it for years, over 11,000 patients, 98% success rate. So I brought my sister over, and we opened next to our restaurant, next to our office is a British restaurant serving British food. So as of about 2 years ago, she came over, lived with us for a short while, opened the restaurant, and then she moved out. So I have a family member here, which makes a difference to me. I never thought it would,
Yeah.
but it does. It makes a difference.
Mm. Okay, take me back to your school years now, because what I like to learn from my guest is based on the things that you liked as a kid, when I'm talking about sports or school-wise subjects, is there anything in your school life that resonated with you that would lead you to where you are today? Did you like writing? Did you like philosophy? Did you like the sciences?
Well, I was born into a musical family. So at the age of 9, I'm playing on stage professionally with my auntie and uncle. So
What?
music was my deal.
Hmm.
I was a very shy kid, but put a guitar around my neck and my identity, I didn't have to be shy anymore. So
Wow.
I grew up with music. Now what we have to understand is I have what's called the addictive personality and the addictive brain,
Mhm.
which means that I'm either all in or I'm all out. I don't do, well, I did a bit of this. So I wanted to become a pro musician. And the nearest I got was I got a contract at Abbey Road Studio in London, which all the big bands record there. And I played with David Bowie, Elton John, Queen. I did sessions with all of them.
Wow.
And the money from there put me through college.
Oh, wow. And you mentioned something there. So you being that music, inclined to music back in the days, I had a question about that too. Were your parents the one that shaped you, that music side of you? And I'm talking about listening to music too. So you mentioned Bowie and Queen. Is that what shaped you, or did you learn yourself what was more attracted to your ear?
So my uncle used to live with us and he was the musician. So he was a truck driver by day, musician at night. So I was influenced with that kind of music. When we was on stage, we were playing like what's called country and western, cabaret stuff, middle of the road stuff. So I was into that for a minute, but with having to learn new songs every week. So
Mhm,
3 new songs was added. So most of the time in my spare time, I was listening to the songs we're supposed to be playing at the weekend.
mhm.
So I kind of missed out on the big bands at the time. I can't remember at the time. It was the rockers, Black Sabbath, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pink Floyd.
Mhm,
Even I used to hang with the bass player. I didn't know any of the music, but it influenced me listening to all kind of genres.
mhm.
So I've worked with guys in the rap industry. I've worked with movie stars and stuff. But if you ask me what my favorite was today, I'd have to first of all say rap. Secondly, I don't know, anything class, anything I listen to. But because working with some of the guys, uh, like A-listers in the rap industry, man, favorite music, man. But I could listen to any elevator music. I don't care. It's
Yeah.
music, love it. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's how the influence came.
You know what, Rob? We're gonna get into a lot of this healing and things, but sometimes my guest mentioned something, and I just want to pick your brain on this. So, when you're younger and you're going through a breakup, I noticed, I'm talking about early age too, like grade 8 and 9 when you're in that puppy love stage, right?
Yeah.
I noticed when I played slow songs, it did something to my brain, not knowing that in the future, this is what people are going to use these methods to train your brain to think differently and stuff. But not knowing, I'm like, I'm putting on this song, I don't know, unconsciously, but it made me feel better. Even though it was making me feel sad in a way, it did something to my heart. But what do you think about that, Rob?
It's 100% true. Songs have that memorable to a occasion effect on us. It's mostly subconscious brain. So the subconscious brain and conscious kind of overlap each other. So everybody has a song that relates to a certain part. So what's happening is we're listening to the song, the words and the beats and the vibration of the song, but the subconscious mind is flipping back to when you was with your partner and the song was playing. So there's a mixture of dopamine going on at the same time, a little bit of serotonin, and of course the sadness from that. So music does more for us than anybody would imagine because of the vibrations, the frequencies, the song rhythm. if you go to church and you see the praise band
Mhm.
and they're playing amazing and stuff, and you think it's there because you can dance or whatever, it's not there. What the music does, it gets you in a frequency and
Mhm.
balance to receive the message from God. So it's the same thing with us listening to music. We become open to past memories and thought patterns that were used to be nice. So it makes us feel good, but the part that it's gone now,
Mhm.
subconscious brain will come in. So then mixed feelings come up at the same time. It's really interesting.
Wow, amazing. Thanks for explaining that. And you know what's crazy though, too, Rob? It's it's kind of a weird thing where, because I'm an emotional guy, so it's like I'd like listening to the songs to make me get teary-eyed. And it's like, am I punishing myself? Why do I like feeling like this? It's a weird thing.
Well, the part of the brain is called the anterior cingulate cortex. It manages our emotions, cognitive parts of our brain. But when we go through a sad period or a breakup, that becomes underactive. So it doesn't perform at its best. So it controls our regulation for our feelings and stuff like that. So because it's shrunken, people come out to cry, and then all of a sudden they get into that crying and sadness and they play the song so they can go there. But this is all subconscious. You don't know that. So the conscious brain, you know everything about it. Subconscious brain is very sneaky in the background, and it'll hold on anything that you can do to feel sad. So it's that fluctuation of the anterior cingulate cortex that makes you feel that way.
Mhm. That explains it. Okay, take me back now. One more question I want to ask before we really get into this. Um, when you go to school, there's a lot of teachers that people remember today, and I like to ask my guests, at whatever level, public school, it's different in the UK. We call it public school, junior high, high school. Then you go to post-secondary. But are there any teachers that resonate with you in either a good way or a bad way, where you had a great teacher that believed in you and you still think about that person today and you're like thinking, without what he told me or she told me, I probably wouldn't have done this? Or is there with a teacher where they were kind of negative to you and you wanted to prove them wrong?
I have both. I have
Uh-huh.
a headmaster called Mr. Raby. I was in the choir, a chorister in the choir at about 9 or 10 years old. He encouraged me about music. He got me an audition actually one time, which didn't really be an audition for the Vienna Boys Choir. So he was pushing this musical talent in me, which was awesome. And then there was what a great question. Yeah. There was this girl, this woman called Mrs. Johnson, and I can play any instrument. I can, if you give me the bagpipes, give me 10 minutes, I'll play any song you want. So I'm practicing my drums on the desk. And this teacher was new, she came in. He said, Robert, stop tapping. I said, it's drumming. You'll never be a drummer. Stop it. So I said, well, you'll never be a teacher. So I got sent to for that. That was the one that stuck in my mind is when somebody says I can't do something, I do. Because my favorite answer to everybody, like, you can't open an English tea shop in the middle of Southern Texas. And he says who? You can't be the number one guy with a multi-million-dollar company from nothing. Says who? Who's making these rules up? Don't like him, by the way. Don't like him. So she was always on my mind um, for that, saying you can't do this and you can't do that. But hey, I come from a musical family, man. Not my mom and dad, but my auntie and uncle on both my mother's side is where I got, I used to practice and practice. And my uncle used to visit my dad and mom every week, but I'd have this bass riff for him that I'd been learning all week, and he encouraged me as well. So, then the two teachers, yeah, definitely.
Wow. Wow. Thanks for sharing. I like to hear those kind of stories from my guests. I appreciate that. But you know what? You could pick up any instrument and
Any instrument, yeah.
wow, you have that, I think that brain.
Now, my brother, on the other hand, has not one musical bone in his body. But I went round to his house one day, and he's like a fixer-up guy. And he said, I'm thinking of having a patio on the back of the house.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, that's cool, Paul. Brilliant. Okay. A few months later, work and stuff, went back to his house. It's a beautiful patio on the back of the house. Beautiful, man. And I'm
Yeah.
like, God, how did that cost you? He said, I built it myself. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, because when somebody says I can't play a musical instrument, I don't understand that. It's how can you play music so well? And I go, how can you not?
Mhm.
Because it's second nature to me. But that taught me that we all have different skills.
Yeah.
Music was my skill. You
Hmm.
know, I love playing it. I love being there. I love playing in clubs, watching people dance and, just making people happy with music. And basically, that's my format of life today is that if we can save a life on this show,
Yeah.
I don't sell nothing. You're not selling anything. We get together, we save a life, man. We're done. Make somebody smile. Job done, man. Job done.
I love it. I love it. Um, Tell me something. You shared something there, and I want to see what you say on this. What do you think? How come there's certain people, and I know people like this in my life, right? And I've been both ways. So you're gonna hear what I'm gonna say here. When someone tells you something negative, there are people that will say, I'm gonna use that and catapult myself to prove that I can do this. And then there's people that internalize it and they're the victim, right? And they're like, they start believing what people are saying. So they get
Yeah.
told something negative, and
Yeah.
then it feeds into it, and then they don't pursue whatever they have to do.
100 times it's happened to me from writing books to, I spoke in California once, there was 1,000 people there. And I was told to give at least 2 hours after where people shake your hand and stuff. 999 people said I was amazing, the best speaker they ever heard. And one person said you were terrible, you were too loud, too aggressive and stuff. Have a guess who I concentrated on for the next 3 months? The one guy. But
Whoa.
what that tells me is I still had childhood trauma. I still have that saying, everything goes back to childhood trauma. So if
Mhm.
I have a reaction here about self or doubt or scared of achieving, it goes right back to what we were said as a child growing up in a house or teachers like you're never any good, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And a lot of other trauma in my life that happened affects what we do today. So if one thing is said to me, the subconscious brain picks that up and goes, oh yeah, that's what I'm running with. That's what I'm running with. And the conscious brain's like, hang on a second, there's 999 people. I went to Dallas for 14 years, was in Dallas, then 4 or 5 in San Antonio. But when I was in Dallas, I said to my guys, you know something? Thinking of writing a book. Well, they laughed. They laughed. Oh, don't be stupid. You can't write a book. You're not an author. Never wrote a book. Come to San Antonio 4 years ago. Got a new set of friends, powerful friends. And I said, I'm thinking of writing a book. And they said, what? You've not wrote a book yet? What is wrong with you? So I wrote a book
Yeah.
because I've done my work on the childhood trauma that says I'm still not blonde enough, tall enough, thin enough, or rich enough. That part of the brain takes me back to the project. When you're standing in front of somebody worth billions or one of the biggest actors in the world, my brain used to go there. Who the hell do you think you are?
Mm.
If he finds out you're from the projects and you are no good and the lifestyle, no one's going to want you. And I have to do work on that. So
Mm.
today it doesn't happen. What a lot of people don't do is they don't know their worth. They don't know their worth. I know my worth today. So when we know our worth and we change neural pathways and we find our identity, we become very dangerous people, man.
Wow.
And this is, I go every time I go to the restaurant, every single time. I should go about 4 times a week. After the meal is served and the waitress or waiter gives me the bill, I say, hey, come in a second. And I lay the bill out. And where it says tip, I say, how much have I put in there? They go, what? How much am I writing there? Tell me. I mean, it's just, oh God, it's just 10%. It's just, and I go, stop.
Yeah.
What's your worth? Now, some of them break down at that point. I said, what's your worth, yo? So when I'm working in a restaurant, when I'm going to college, really, what's your worth? Can you put like $20 down? What's your worth, lady? Let me see what I see. And my wife joined. I see this beautiful lady, educated, working through this job to go through college, is going to make something of her life. And you're going to change the world. What is your worth? And you finally go, $50, brilliant. $100, brilliant. I don't care what it is, I'm writing it down. Because people don't know their identity, and the amount of people we work with, like entrepreneurs, podcasters, who have no idea what they're worth. When we find that worth and identity, they go on to win $1 million companies all day long, every single day, because people don't know their identity. It's like going to work every day at a job for 20 years. Then they let you go after 20 years. You have no identity. Your identity was work. But the so-called work family, you don't have they're not family. You walk around on the same piece of carpet for 8 hours. That's all it is. But when you take them out of the environment, when you a man and woman break up marriage, it's the woman usually that suffers because she's no identity. His football team, his friends. So people with no identity can build from scratch. At a crossroads. I love them kind of people. You've got Dr. Rob, I've got nothing. I've got no future. Oh, yes, you've got a future, girl, because subliminal messaging and direction, we rewire brains and repattern behaviors. You can be anyone you want. And when I first came to America, everybody said this to me. You can be anybody you want, man. Well, I can't be president of the United States. That's what they used to say to me now. I'm not into politics. Please don't think it's a politic thing. I don't give a crap about politics. But you can't ignore the fact, love him or hate him, that 8 years ago, we had a president with no political experience whatsoever. Don't dare tell me you can't achieve your dreams. Somebody's put that there.
Jeez. Whoa. I just got shivers. Rob, that was Dr. Rob. That was powerful. And you know what's funny? You said you liked like rap music growing up.
Yeah.
I'm 52 years old. So I grew up like in the 80s with what I call classic hip hop, foundational hip hop, right? And you could look at these rappers from the drug dealing, the gangs, and then you see them how they are today, multi-millionaires. Jay-Z is probably the biggest name I could think of right now. 50 Cent, all of them, where you're like, you came from the streets. How could someone tell you you can't do something?
I,
You know what I mean?
we got nothing to lose, man. Well,
Yeah.
I met Dre. Dre come to my house when I was working with a patient to see him. I had long chats with Dre and Snoop and stuff like that. So the prime example is Snoop. How the hell has he come from the street? How the hell has he gone from hardcore rap like NWA shit? How's he done that to where he is today? I
Yeah.
mean, the guy's a household name. You're like, he pops up everywhere. I want his manager that does all this. I want to work with him because I'm telling you, man, a transformation to a family guy from that is just mind blowing. But
Mhm.
you tell somebody from the streets, who would I want? Smart guy or a guy from the streets who's streetwise every
Oh.
single time, because we're smart guys and
Mhm.
people don't think we're smart guys. That's the big mistake they make.
Mhm.
You know, if
Yeah.
you take me, for instance, on the project, grew up in gangs, hurt a lot of people, doing bad stuff, kidnapping people, bad stuff. And
Mhm.
I got told once you'll never be anything. What have I got to lose? What's the worst thing could happen to me?
Yeah.
I I, I don't know. I kind of lose my job. I don't care. I got millions in the bank. Well, you lose it. I don't care. Got a great family. Well, what if this? I don't care. See, the biggest thing that people suffer from is they care about what people think about them. I don't give a shit what you think about me.
Mhm.
What are you going to do? Some guy in a bed, his mom's bedroom or his mom's basement is 46 years old. It's his third marriage had just broken and the kids hate him. You're telling me I'm doing something wrong? I don't think so. But that was hard for me to get over because at the beginning it hurts, man. Who does he think he is? He's not educated. He's not from England. He's a piece of crap. All that stuff, man, I used to take personally about even was recently was 8 years ago. And I
Wow.
found my work.
Yeah.
Work.
Wow.
I ain't embarrassed when I go out here and get into a $300,000 car. I'm not embarrassed about that. I'm not embarrassed about pulling up to a homeless shelter where I go every Saturday to carry a message of God and stuff. I ain't shy of parking outside. Because
Mhm.
what I'm telling you is if I can do it, anybody can do it. You know, you don't have to be born in money to have money. You
Mhm.
know, you've got to have that balance. For me, it's God, family, finances,
Yeah.
because I'm streetwise. You can stick me anywhere you want. 20 minutes, I'll find a job. I don't care what I have to do. My
Mhm.
first job was a dishwasher
Mhm.
in Dallas, Texas. My first job when I was over here, dishwasher. Hell yeah. Take some of that.
Wow. Dr. Rob. Tell me something. Yeah, this is amazing. Tell me something. Dr. Rob, tell me something. I watched this show. Something billionaire or something. Grant Cardone. Okay.
Yes, I know,
There
man. He's a friend of mine. Yeah.
oh, he's a friend of yours. Okay.
Well, he's an associate. I don't call him a friend
Associate.
because,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah, you
get
get,
I get
yeah.
it. So it's amazing how some people have that mentality. Because you mentioned something there about imagine you lost everything. There's millionaires that when I watch any podcast where they say, if you lost your money today, your wealth today, could you be able to get it back? Yes, I could get it back. So the premise of this show, I believe, is they go to a town. My wife and I were watching it, but we didn't get to finish it, but I get the gist of it. And you have to start from scratch and build yourself up to a millionaire again. And it's like that mindset that's in certain people, you have to get to that level. But when you have that mindset, it's an amazing thing because you can start helping other people. Each one, teach one.
100%. And my first marriage uh, in England, I walked out, I left the house to her, I left the cars, I left the bank account, eight-figure bank account. I walked out, I became homeless because I was an alcoholic. They came over here. I got married a second time to a friend. We should never have done it. We built an empire within 9 years. So 11 years ago, 10 years ago, we decided to split. I left everything to her. I left the houses, the ranches, the cars, the money, everything. And I walked out with $200 in my pocket. And I went to a friend of mine who ran a homeless shelter. And I stayed at a homeless shelter for about 8 or 9 months. And it was the best time ever. And then I met my wife, Janet. And over the last 9 years, we've built an empire bigger than anything else I've had. So there's living. It's like, if you don't believe in yourself, how do you expect anyone else to believe in you? It's just important. You can't. You see, guys like me, and there's millions of them, I only speak about me, and you, looking at you, we walk into a room, people know we walked into a room. I used to walk into a room, I used to look around and go, does anybody like me in here? You know, like a little kid. Now I kick that door down, I walk in and go, hey, who do I like in here today?
Yeah.
That's the difference. Well, your ego, my ego went when he took my kids off me, dude. You know, when three ages, 1 and 3, so they wrenched them out of my heart. I don't have an ego. I'm walking with God. I'm confident. I know my identity. You give me a problem, I'm going to solve it. So it's the mindset. If you took me off, I obviously live large. If you took me out of that environment with all the money, the watches, the car, and put me in a tent with my wife, my 2 English bulldogs, and my cats, first of all, I'm going to be as happy as I am today. But secondly, I get it back. I've done it twice. Okay, I get it back because I have a mindset now. Every time you hear a no, guys, it's one step further to a yes. I mean, oh God, I failed twice. Go and speak to the Beatles, man. They failed 27 times. Oh, I don't know. Go and speak to J.K. Rowling. They threw out offices about 100 times.
Wow.
So now we have the best-selling music in the world, and we have the first billionaire female author in the world. And they were told, no. If something doesn't happen, God's got something better for you, or Uncle Jimmy, or the universe, whatever you believe in, because we're putting us and if you're going through some horrible times, it's not horrible times, guys. You're in a training session. It's like a semester at Harvard University. That's what my homelessness was, 14 months. It was a lesson. Because when people come today, what do you know, Dr. Rumley? You know about homelessness? Check. You know about losing your kids? Check. You want to carry on this conversation? Check. Anybody could be anybody and do anything they want to do as long as this is right. And people don't believe me. I can't be a businessman. Why? Says who? I wouldn't know where to start. Well, go on to GoDaddy. $9, you got yourself a website. Go to Vistaprint. $9, you got yourself 100 business cards. And then you have this crap job still going that you hate and spend every time you go home and sit in front of the TV, go home and work on that business, email people, get the Facebook thing, start going, and you will replace this terrible thing with this thing that you want to do. And when you do that, life takes on a new meaning, that's for sure.
Powerful. Okay, Dr. Rob, you touched on a few things. Now I want you to tell your story, fill in the gaps. You mentioned a lot of things that I'm going to want to hear about. But before the work, before the title, take me back to when addiction first became real in your life. What was that moment when you knew it had a hold on you?
The crazy thing is when you're an alcoholic, not a heavy drinker, there's a fine line. It's a predisposition we have. When you're an alcoholic, you never think that you're drinking too much or you're an alcoholic. You never think that. So I started drinking at the age of 9 on stage, and it got more and more. So when I was like between the age of 9 and about 14, I was drinking on a Saturday night only because it gave me a confidence to get on stage. And then obviously you go to college, you get your job, and it just takes over and over. And then I started my own business, and we earned a lot of money quickly. It was in the industry. We was in the industry of building towers for the Army and Navy, but as we were doing that, the telecom industry came on and wanted like 10 million towers. So we was like, oh yeah, we can do this, drinking, not knowing. But there was signs there. There was signs like it was going out of control. So and woke up 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm tiptoeing downstairs because I know I have some vodka there that I need desperately, man. I tiptoed down. I'm looking for the bottle. I find it. It's like the holy grail, man. I put it on the side kitchen counter. I turn around to get a crystal glass. What? Yeah, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm drinking out of a $200 freaking glass, crystal glass here. And when I turned around again, my wife had followed me down and she snatched the bottle off the counter. And she held it against the chest and she said, Rob, I think you've had enough. Okay. Well, I should have done, because she was making sense, is I should have said, thank you, Mrs. Kelly. Go back up to bed and sleep some more until work in the morning. What I did is took a kitchen knife out and stabbed her 3 times. And as she hit the floor, I got my bottle of vodka and I started to drink it. I went to the entrance where the phone was and I called a taxi and then I called an ambulance. And the taxi was waiting outside. And as soon as I heard the ambulance and the police in the background with sirens, I jumped in the car and I fled to Spain. And there was an attempted murder charge out on me, which back in England is a life sentence. So I've actually come back after 3 months. All charges were dropped. But when I got back, she had all the stuff picked up. We had suitcases and stuff. And she said, Rob, I'll love you to the day I die, but you're not going to kill our children. Because I fell on them. I was in the car drunk, a second bottle of vodka, and she left. Well, my partner, who do you think you are? You don't know who I am. So I got hold of my attorney, and the next morning after court, he went to court and got some papers signed, and he brought my kids back. 1 and 3 or 2 and 4 ages, I can't remember. I give him a check, I sat him in front of the TV, I'm 3 days sober by now. So I've got a responsibility, and I can do this and prove everyone wrong. Sat him in front of the TV, gave him some sweets or something, went in the kitchen, and the thought passed my mind that wouldn't it be great to have 1 drink to celebrate my kids coming home. But Buchanan is the last thing I remember. Apparently 2 days, they hadn't been fed or changed diapers. I was going back and forth to the liquor store. The police kicked the door down and the child authorities, child protection, she was there, mother-in-law was there, police was there, and he kicked me, this police officer, and he served me with a paper, and all I could see is unfit father across the top. So I'm in this stupor. I get up. They're taking my children, man. Police, the mother-in-law's got the youngest, and my wife has got the eldest, ages 3 or 4. And they're walking down the path, and my eldest was like I say, name was Charlotte, she's only young. And walking down the pathway, and I stumbled to the door, and I'm crying. Even one of the police officers was crying. And she said 3 things to me. She said, Daddy, please don't go. And after walking down the path, holding on to Mummy's hand. Turned around again, she said, Daddy, please get better. And as we got to the gate, we opened the gate. And the last thing she said to me was, Daddy, please stop drinking. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it for her. I couldn't do it for me. 6 or 7 weeks later, I'm homeless. I left everything to her. I left that house, went to my mom's. They threw me out, saying it was horrible, man. I went from mom's to friends to acquaintances and then the streets. And I remember when we first met in the streets, didn't think I had a problem. That's the crazy thing. I'm on the street. I woke up one morning, the guy next to me stabbed to death for his sneakers. I had to fight every single day. I took part in bare knuckle fighting with the travelers and the gypsies. I was out of control, man. And I died twice on the streets. Alcohol, I was dead, man, and he brought me back twice, and I hated them men for that because I just wanted to die. And crazy things happen. Like I'd go to the top of this skyscraper building, and it was like 40 floors high, and I got a bottle of vodka, and I'm stood on the edge, and I'm looking down, and I got this bottle of vodka, and I'm so chicken, I have to drink this before I do it, and I drank the bottle of vodka, the big one, down in one, and when I woke up, I fell backward, not forward. I tied myself to train racks. The train went the opposite. Loads of crazy stuff happened. And then one night, having done all of this, I was walking around the factories and offices, wasn't a person in sight. It's around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I dropped it onto my hands and knees and was starting to cry like a baby. It was pouring down. It was a sad state. I'm on my hands and knees. I'm sobbing. You know, that sobbing from the stomach. And I don't know why. I was an atheist. But I looked up to the sky and this rain was hitting me. And I shouted out, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. And 30 seconds later, a guy walked around the corner. He'd missed his last bus home from a Bible study. He'd been walking for a couple of hours. He took a shortcut he'd never taken before and he came upon me. Right there is where it started for me. Now, later I got introduced to a guy called John, who, after 12 weeks working with him, disappeared. We could not trace him or find him. Some kind of angel was working with me. And everything I do today was based on what John taught me.
Wow. Oh my God.
But listen, I've got, on the end of that, I always like to tell people that 4 years ago, I'm in bed at night time. Now I'm a concierge doctor. I only take on 4 patients. The rest of the staff deal and everybody else. Bing, bing, boom. I was working with 3 major players, one in the music, rap industry, a movie star, and somebody else. Anyway, I got it, and I looked at it like that through squinting, and it was my daughter after 30 years, man. And you know what she said? Hey, Dad. She says, hey, and I was crying. I said to my wife, look, Janet, look. She's like, oh my God, it's Charlie. Oh my God, I was so scared. I was happy. It was like, oh my God, we're jumping up in the bedroom and stuff. And, I've done all this free work. I don't charge veterans. We give hundreds of thousands of dollars back to the community. I was doing this stuff, man. And I looked at it and she says, hey, Dad, I saw you on TV over here. I don't believe what they were telling me all these years. It's about time we met and I've got something to show you. Now, we have people around us, as you can imagine, and within 2 or 3 hours, we're on a plane and we're heading back to the UK. And we arrived at night time. So we stayed in this hotel around the corner from where her house. The next morning, we got up. My wife's holding me. I'm scared. I'm crying. What that father I was. All this stuff going through my head. We got to a door and I said to my wife, I can't knock. I can't knock. I was crying. And she opened the door quickly. And we grabbed each other and we cried and we laughed for what seemed like a day. Apparently, it was like a minute. And then she took me by my hand. And this is where everything comes into, wow, this is why I've been doing this. And God's going, she took me by my hand and she walked me into her living room. And she handed me my 3-month-old granddaughter. And right there and then, I knew, man. Only 4 years ago, I knew God's got me and I'm going to show what anybody does or thinks or says about me anymore. So I've got my daughter now. We sent her back to school. She's my lead therapist and manager of my Manchester office.
Wow.
She shares patients with me. I go over there 2 or 3 times a year. I see my granddaughter once a week on Zoom. So that's the payback, man.
Yeah.
Just leave and keep going. And like I say, the stuff that you're going through now is not a punishment. It's not you're going through some bad luck. It's a training period now because you haven't been the guys that make it through all that crap can become a very powerful person.
Oh, this is very powerful. Thanks for sharing that. It's hard to hear, and I see you still get emotional telling it when you talk about your daughter, what she said before I took her away. It's like it's hard to hear those words, but to come full circle, it's an amazing event, and I think I want to know now, when did you first realize you wanted to turn your pain into purpose to help other people? Because you have the Robb Kelly group. Tell me a little bit about that, how that really launched and took off to help people.
When I met this guy called John, I was going to see him every Wednesday and recovered. And I have 4 businesses today, all $1 million businesses. And I say that again, not to brag, I don't give a shit. Give half it away, but to prove that anybody can do it. But when I got off the streets, I was angry because I suffered from alcoholism and I'd lost everything. And I was angry at the medical fraternity that nobody could tell what I was suffering from. Nobody could tell me, well, you're just an alcoholic. Why? Why? Because you're too much alcohol. Go to AA or Go to church. I'm like, yeah, but why? I mean, why can I not stop drinking and the guy next door can? After a period, what nobody could tell them because they didn't know. They still don't know today. The research we've done, spent $1.5 million on. We're the best in the industry when it comes to neuroscience because I was angry, man. And I set about working on the brain. Now, this was got to be, when I came here 20 years ago, man, nobody knew about addiction and brain and what it can do and how powerful the mind is. Nobody could. So we did it. So when I first came over here, teaching and practicing our new science, they took my license off me to practice because they said I was harming people, do no harm and all that stuff. I lecture to those guys today, by the way. It took me 6 months to get my license back. And then we just went all in of research, not so much patients, but research. And what we found over the years as we was doing it is this doesn't work for alcohol and drugs only. This works for entrepreneurs, depression, anxiety, PTSD. We're just doing some early research in Alzheimer's, which we have a software here where headphones can do remote. It's called the Breath Box. Change your patterning, change your life in 1 hour. It's amazing. So the more we got into the research, the more I was wanted by, we never advertised. So we have agents all over that call us and go, hey, we've got another one for you. And I built with these guys, the Grant Cardones and stuff. I built this network, the Gary Breckers of this world. He's a very close friend of mine. And I built this network. And then one day I got up and said, it was about 4 years ago, you know something? For the first time in my life, I'm the best in this industry. And in the back of my business card, it says the #1 addiction doctor in the world. And I dare anybody to challenge that. You can't challenge it. You cannot challenge it. And then it just all fell into place. So this all fell into place. And then I just said to my wife one day, my sister wants to come over. I'm going to open a British restaurant. And people were going, you're in Texas, man. What? Not going to. So I brought her over 2 years ago to run it. And now we're both partners in it. It's a huge success. And then I have a non-profit group that I run. And then I have the Breath Box studio, which is a 9-dimensional brain-changing and behavior-changing software that we use. And it's just all come together. So I get flown around on private jets and stuff. And the reason why I'm saying that is when you get to this point, it's very dangerous for an individual from the projects. Because now I've never read my book. I've never seen me on TV. I won't watch this. I just can't. Because you know why? Deep down inside, I might start believing this shit. I might start believing that I'm all that, I surround myself with people. I came off the stage at Paramount Studios and my wife was with me, a bodyguard was with me. And they go, hey, where's my chauffeur? To my wife. It all went quiet. It wasn't my chauffeur. Paramount had put that on. And my wife, married for about 8 months, she came over and she slapped me across the face. And she's a quiet country girl, and I was shocked. And she said simply, if I ever hear that tone and you calling out, where's my chauffeur again, this marriage is over. Well, do you understand what I'm saying? So I get people, because, well, I do this and do, yeah, I've got to be careful, man. I live this amazing life I'm not supposed to live, but that's what life's about. Yeah. If you're happy going to work 9 o'clock, getting home at 5, seeing your children, retiring at 65 with about $200 a week to survive on, even though you've paid into the national, the tax like $10 million, but why not create empires? Why not create empires so you can help people? I ask God for stuff, man. Give me a big house. Give me this car. Give me my dream car because I've done it. Boom, 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 boom. And we give and we give and we give. It's like San Antonio is our office. So we have San Antonio, Dallas, Manchester, London, Switzerland, Spain is where we have offices. No veteran coming in my premises ever pays. Boom, done. We have a sliding scale. If you're on it's 6 figures a month to see me because that's what it is. I don't want to get into that. But we have a sliding scale for everybody else. So if you're coming up the street, so you've got, $400 a month, we'll take $20 a month off you to get through this program.
Yeah.
We give, like I said, about $150,000, me and my wife, out of our own bank account, give back into communities. And we do stuff like, a guy who's got recovered or a guy who's going through depression, but he's lost his kids and his wife. and he wants to go back to court to get his kids one time a week. We'll pay for his legal fees. We'll pay for an apartment for a year. We'll buy him his clothes for court. We'll take him to court. And when he gets his kids, that's us paid back. We sit back, man. Yeah, that's another one. Now, where else can we go? We pay lunch debts off, man. We go to, I was astonished in a conversation, and somebody said, oh yeah, my son, he can't have lunch. And I said, what do you mean he can't have lunch? He said, we're in debt too much. I was like, there's a lunch debt? And they, oh yeah. So we call 5 schools up around us. How much is your lunch debt? First of all, everyone treated us like we were crazy. He's like, oh, no, check Dr. Robb out. And we went out to the 5 schools and we paid every single lunch debt off so kids can eat. And I said to her, every 6 months, we're going to check in. And every debt, lunch debt, I do not want to see a kid here go hungry. Every single lunch debt, when you get there, you call me, I'll pay it off to 5 or 6 schools. That's living. Not the rest of the shit you see around me. The rest of the stuff, I leave to my wife. He pays the mortgages and he keeps her happy.
Yeah.
My stuff is feet in the trenches and telling you that we're the only company in the world. Guys at home, are you ready? We're the only company in the world that if we don't get you to where we planned when we first met, I'll refund every single dime that you put into this office. Because we don't fail, man. We don't fail. I have people around me who are passionate. I have people who are leaders. I have people who are strong. I have all these people around me that don't know. They know. They believe in that every human being deserves to be happy. Now, I thought money would make me happy. It doesn't. But if it's money driver for you, will get you there. If it's depression, anxiety, seeing your kids, build a business, we'll get you there. The money is nice to have. But internally, when I first started getting the money over here, I remember driving to my offices in Highland Park. It was a medical building. We had half a floor. I was in a 911 Turbo S that was about 3 weeks old. I had a $70,000 Rolex watch on my hand. I had the best clothes and driving. And I was one of the most miserable people in the world, man. And he realized on me, shit, it's not the money, man. It's not the money, It's about me. It's about how happy. So can I bring joy? Every time I see someone, do I bring joy and opportunities to them? Yes. We give a lot of work away free just to see somebody's face. But when you're in that position, you might be the last person you see before committing suicide. You might be, my father died on a Thursday night. And on a Saturday morning, I go to deliver to a homeless shelter, like an AA stroke motivation meeting every Saturday between 10 and 11. When I went to do it that Saturday, nobody knows my dad had died. Nobody knew that internally. I was suffering because that's not your problem. Your problem is inspired by what God gives me to say to you. And I came out and I had a sponsor then. He said, you doing okay? I said, yeah, my father died in Thursday. He's like, what? You come here? What? He's like, that's not my job, man. That's why God gave us sponsors and therapists and doctors. Our best friends. That here? No. If I behave and act and tell you that you can do anything, we do a lot of subliminal work here, then you're going to do it because the brain doesn't know the difference between the truth and the false. Your reality is what you think your reality is. Your reality is today. It's not tomorrow. Who are you today? How powerful you are in the next 24 hours? Because 3 parts of the brain set every 24 hours. So you've got to kind of start the morning routine off to make sure that you're ready for the day. But you have that mindset that no matter what happens, see, if something happens to you tomorrow, nothing can happen or upset you without your perspective on that incident. So if somebody comes up and says something or does something and you don't give it a perception of you can't hurt me with that line, God bless you, then you're in this world because nobody who's doing as good as you or better will ever negatively comment on what you say. So the naysayers and guys in the mum's basement with the keyboards, you're not going to tell me what to do. Why am I listening to you? So if you have these people around you, if you have anybody around you, that guy, there's always one, doesn't want you to succeed with the sneaky little words and the, hey, Rob, you're putting weight on. I'm just joking. He's gone, man. Because I've just lost 150 pounds. So that for me is still a bit raw because I still think I'm 350 pounds instead of 200, But he's gone, man. I don't put up with anybody around me. Anybody who validates me, anybody who approves me and vice versa, anybody I meet who makes me a better person and vice versa, that's my circle, man. And there's only 4 people in that circle because I don't need negative stuff. I need positive stuff. I need people I go, hey, do you think you can do this? Yeah. You think you get this car from that? Yeah. Hey, can you? Yeah. Wow. So when people come to me and go, Dr. Robb, yes. I interrupt them. What if you? Yes. You don't know what the question is yet. Does it matter? If I can help you in any way, I take on 2 pro bonos a month personally. And while we're building a business right now, they're just about to sign a $5 million deal. And the other guys that build the podcast and stuff like that. It's like, that's life for me. I'm 64 years old, man. So if you look at the Bible, I don't read it. I've never read it, but I believe the Bible says that 75 years old is the average age when people die. Okay. I'm 64. I have 11 Christmases left. I have 11 Thanksgivings left. You think I'm going to give a shit what you think about me? You think I'm going to waste time not doing stuff? I'm cramming everything into what I do. We turn 15, 16, 17 podcasts down a month when they find out who I am. What Courtney does is she goes out there and she finds people who are changing the freaking world. And when she came upon you, like we do 1 or 2 of these a week, when she came upon you, man, she was so excited. And she don't call me, she texts, or it goes on my calendar. I don't see tomorrow's day until tonight, 6 o'clock. My assistant will send you over. Will she call me? Oh my God, man, I got this guy, man. I'm telling you, man, it's Scorpio, and you've got to researching this guy, man. He's changing the world. You're going to love him. And I'm like, awesome. So I get up this morning, right? I've done thousands I think I'm on Rogan January or something like that. I've done thousands of these. I get up this morning with your face, you flipping handsome pig, with your face in my head, coming to work. I've done 2 patients before you. I was more excited about meeting you than the patients because, man, you are the one, man. You've been chosen by somebody to do some serious shit on this earth, and I hope you know that. And you're in my, listen, thousands of these with biggest names, TV, Oprah, the doctor, everything I've done in the world right today. I'm telling you that you're in my top 3 of best podcasts ever, best podcast hosts, because you're not all over me. You're not asking some of the questions you ask, like, wow, that's never been asked before. You look I'm glad my wife's not here. You look $1 billion, man. And I'm telling you, man, I'm in awe of you. I really am. You got it, man. I'm telling you.
Wow. Dr. Robb. Oh, you don't know what that means to me. Yeah, you left me a little speechless here. You come across people. I get that from people though, and I get emotional on my podcast. I get emotional somehow, but I come across people that give me a feeling,
Yeah.
and sometimes I can't explain it, right? And then I notice the connection while I'm talking to them, and then I start understanding there's a bigger purpose too, right? And I felt that with you when Courtney reached out to me. I didn't know who you were until I looked at the doctor's episode, and I'm like, okay, I remember, I remember this. And then I seen all the podcasts you do, and I just felt special that you actually, decided to come on my podcast because I'm not a big podcast. I just do it for the purpose and spreading the love. But thanks for sharing those words.
Right.
Um, one
You are.
one thing, sorry, one thing you said though, in the recovery time and building the business, you mentioned earlier on about losing your parents. Were your parents alive to see the journey and the transformation like where you are today? Or
My mum wasn't because she had breast cancer and then cancer through and then Alzheimer's in the end. So my mum was always thinking I was drinking. When I go around to see her, I was about 5 years sober. She I smell the alcohol on you. I'd done too much damage to her. My father, yes, he died 2 or 3 years later when I started to become famous and sought after. And I could just tell, he was the proudest man. And I had to make my amends to him because I didn't make to his mother. And I swear to God, it was the most emotional time of my life. My dad never tells me I love you. He never hugs you. He never jokes with you. He's a stern man, quiet man, few words, If you give him a gift, you can't give it to him. You've got to give it to my mum to give it to him because he gets too embarrassed. So we went round there and I wanted to introduce my wife to my dad. And then I said, do you want to wait in the car? She said, yeah. And he said, no. Dad said, no. I said, no, Dad, I need to speak to you, Dad. And I said, Dad, I want to apologize for all this, you know. I want to apologize for all the crap I put you through and the shit and the shame and all that stuff, man. And he said, son, you're okay. It's okay, son. And I said, no, Dad, it's not. But all I can tell you, Dad, is that I'm going on to do some great things. And I'm so sorry. And for the first time in my life, he hugged me. He hugged me, man. And I came out of there and 2 weeks later, got COVID, and 3 weeks after that, he died.
Wow.
I was already back in America by then. But, you know, there are moments where you have to cherish and know somebody's looking after you or you're doing something right. Listen, my job, in a nutshell, is to reach down to the gutter and hand them guys onto God as quickly as I can. Whether you believe in God or not, there's something spiritual. So we did everything I talk about, we did research on it. So we did that spiritual thing, like my mind connects to somebody else. So when you meet someone on the streets and you instantly like them, why is that? It's because the energy from the minds connect. So when we change neural pathways, and when you connect the mind to another power, a real power, when you work with us, your DNA changes. You're not the same guy when you come to them. Because we have lots of tools and we're aggressive and we're that. It's just what we are, man. I mean, if we believe in you, eventually we're gonna drive you crazy until we believe in yourself. That's just the way we work. And because I know for a fact, I know this, that when I get to heaven, because I believe there's a heaven, when I get to heaven, do you know what God's not going to ask me? He's not going to ask me, hey, how much was that house you lived in? How much was that car? That car, man, it's Bentley. Oh my God. He's not going to ask me that shit. He's going to ask me one thing, man. How many people did you help, Rob?
Yeah.
How many people? Tell me how many people. I know, but I want to hear you say it. And I want a big number. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Yeah. Dr. Rob. Oh, powerful. Okay. I have a question for you. This would you rather question. But before that, I just want to see what you say because you touch a lot on rewiring the brain. And you mentioned something when we first started talking about childhood trauma. Is it your belief that people who have addictions, whether it be drugs, alcohol, sex, any addiction out there, is it your belief that it stems from something from your past and you find your vice? I don't even know if I'm saying this right, but you find your vice, what gets you through certain things, and it's hard to overcome that.
1,000,000,000%. We've traced every human error to either lack of food or the wrong food and oxygen, and pharmaceutical companies who kill us. But everything starts. So childhood trauma is the gateway drug. I don't care if you're depressed, if you're not good enough, you can never achieve anything, alcohol, drug, or whatever it is, trauma, proper childhood trauma with the software that we use has to go back because everything we do today is a direct correlation of what happened to us when we was a child. But back in the day, they normalized the behavior. I was dropped off every Friday night. My mum and dad dropped me off at their friends, okay? And they go out and drink, sleep over, and they come back next morning and get me. When my mum and dad dropped me off, the minute the car was out the driveway, we had to play, there was a couple of kids there, we had to play the run around naked game. Where everybody stripped off and the adults were tickled. I didn't know that was sexual abuse. I just thought it was a game. So that stuck in my mind. So when I look at that going through, it's the reason why I could never keep a relationship. It's the reason why I could never keep a job. Probably one of the reasons that I wanted to kill myself. Because of that, the shame from that, the guilt, the remorse, the fear, all based in there, sat in the subconscious brain, so you don't know it's there, but it's ruling your life. Everybody has childhood trauma. And if you don't think you do, yours is worse than everyone else's. Because the subconscious brain Everything we see here, touch, feel from childhood, and everything else during life is stored there. There are trillions upon trillions upon trillions of memories and feelings and all that stuff stuck there. But the brain protects us from that. But this is your future. But you can't recall it 9 times out of 10 because the brain is protecting you from going insane, the insanity. So what we do with the tools we have, we go back, we uncover, discover, discover. We uncover what it is, discover what's it about, and then discard. And once you do that process, you're a different person. And then I'll repeat it again. What's the worst can happen? I say that to all my staff and friends. Yeah, but we got this round and then you got to go for tea. What's the worst can happen? Calm down. What's wrong with you? Just calm down. It's all going to happen the way it's supposed to happen. And if it doesn't, I'm not supposed to have that contract or do this thing. Right? Just calm down and you've got to breathe. 11 Christmas times left. You think I'm going to get upset and pissed and angry at people? Hey, Rob, you think you are? I don't know, man. Whatever you think I am. You know, I don't care what you think about me. God bless you. Here's $20. Go buy coffee. You know, because you're in this place and very few people are. They might tell you they are, but there's more. Comedians are the worst. So I've worked with a lot of comedians. Comedians are the saddest people in the world because they always have to be funny and they're going through trauma themselves. And most comedians have been through childhood trauma, where they break up with parents, violence in the house, alcohol, drug, whatever it is. So they take on this funny persona, so they're going to get liked at school so they can fit in. Because I don't know who it was. Somebody said, this is what depression looks like. Hey, man, what are you doing? Hey, it's okay, man. Yeah, listen, let me know if I can do anything for you, man. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. That could be deep, deep depression. So how do we know this? Again, my wife's brother was struggling with alcohol dependency and is suffering for years. And they all met up at the parents' house. So my wife was there, the 2 brothers were there, the wives were there, and he wasn't drinking, which is great. And he'd been about 4 or 5 weeks sober. Halfway through, he said, "Hey guys, I'm gonna sit home. I feel a bit tired. Everyone's drinking and stuff. You know, I hope you understand." I'm like, "Yeah, man." And he said to my wife, "Tomorrow, you have to pick me up tomorrow at 2 because we got to go and buy that thing, whatever it was. Promise you'll pick me up." And she said, "I'll pick you up. Don't worry about it, Michael." So the cameras on that house showing that he drives up the driveway. He gets out whistling. He slams the door. He walks into the garage. He pulls the gun out and shoots himself in the head. Dead. That's depression, man. That's suffering deep down that you don't know you're suffering that much all day. Boom, you go. That's what we want to prevent. So what I do after every podcast is I give my personal phone number. So if you're struggling like we were talking about, 214-600-0210. Now people think I'm insane. Text only, guys. I'm so busy, but I'll reply back to you. And what I'm going to do is that we're going to speak for 10 minutes. And I'm going to change your life in 10 minutes. Okay? Because here's the deal. I would rather work 4 hours a week with you than hit up your suicide list. So don't Google me. And I say that with the greatest, humblest feeling, because most of the time where people have gone worse, you said, "I didn't want to call you because you were a very busy man." I'm not busy for that stuff. I'm not busy. It's the reason why I live. But if we get up and save a life every single day, then you're going to be taken care of. All that struggling, all that stuff. You're only struggling because you've got a lesson to learn, man. You know? So it is. We got a mom who's broken, her husband's left, and she left him with 2 kids in a broken down apartment. And "Doctor, I just don't know what to do." Would you say that at a crossroads? "I'm at a crossroads." Brilliant. All right, now we can rebuild from that crossroad, and we're going to build up. And 9 out of 10 times, the husband wants to come back once you're successful, and the answer is no. You've got to help people, man. You've got to do God's work. You've got to be out there being that leader. I'm the annoying guy that talks on the elevator. You know, I don't get on the elevator and look a bit embarrassed. "Hey, guy, who's having a great day today, man? Hands up." And all of a sudden, no, "Jimmy, come on, Jimmy. You having a great day, Jimmy?" I don't know what his name is. "Come on, Jimmy, you put your..." And all of a sudden, everyone's laughing and talking. Now, their world. One of the things I talk about doing my conferences, I'll finish on this, is there was a guy, true story, man. There was a guy that went to the Golden Gate Bridge and threw himself off and committed suicide. When the police pulled him out, went through his stuff and he found his home, found his driving license. So they go back to the apartment to look for next of kin. While they're looking around, they find a note on the kitchen table. And it says, I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge, which was an hour's walk. I'm going to throw myself off and commit suicide. I'm done with this life. Unless on the way there, somebody says good morning, nods at me, smiles at me. If that happens, I will stop. I'll go back home and I'll try again tomorrow. Question. How many people have you walked past today that's heading to the Golden Gate Bridge?
Wow. The last thing we're going to do, Rob, you're going to choose one of these cards for me to read out in my hand. Would you want me to read out the Blue Jays or the Raptors?
Raptors, man.
What is one of the most memorable moments of your life?
I'm sat in the green room with Freddie Mercury, and I was playing, nothing was doing my business. And he told me a couple of things. He just said, do anything, do everything you can do in life. Everything. Now, don't say no to anything. Sky jumping, but don't say no to anything. Say yes all the time. And life goes on.
Wow. Nice. Thank you. Okay, we're at the donation part now. So we're going to see which charity cause I'm donating to today. And then I'm going to ask you to plug your stuff. So which color would you want me to pop, Rob?
Red is my color.
Let's do this. All right. Episode 107. Star Scorpio will be donating to, you're not going to see it, I don't think, but oh yes, Juku Sports.
Yes.
All right. Amazing. Rob, this was an amazing episode. Thank you for being here today, sharing the love, sharing your experiences, your story, and I hope we always help people out. Plug your socials or your website. Let me know where to find you.
So if you're just listening, not watching, guys, I've spelled my name in two B's, ROBBKELLY.com. Jump on there, friend us, like all socials at the bottom. You can track everything we do. So do that. And then we've got Breathbox on there and stuff like that. So come say hi. And listen, if you're listening to America, remember last person my daughter said, oh, Daddy, baby, please stop drinking. Don't buy it from Amazon. Got 10 copies there to give away only on this show. Contact Peter or myself and just go, hey, I want one of those books. And I'll pay for the shipping, but in America only. You know, so there it is. Give it to somebody else when you're done. Mom's the word.
Yes. Thank you, Rob. Dr. Robb Kelly, Real Talk with Star Scorpio, and we out.